Biden seems to have taken his campaign on offense, big time. Yesterday, he went after Trump, calling him a loser. Larry Kudlow is with us this morning. All right, Larry, why is Biden making such harsh attacks on Trump?
Because he's losing.
Exactly.
Because Biden's losing in the polls.
That's right.
There are fresh polls out today in the swing states. Actually, not only is Trump ahead in 6 or 7 states, but when you ask people who's going to win in those states, Trump has even bigger leads. Now, these are polls, not votes. I get that. But that's one reason. The other reason is you've got Democrats like former President Barack Obama. He's saying Biden could lose. You had Michelle Obama. It was Fox News, I think, digital story. Yeah. Michelle Obama is terrified that Trump might win. One of their campaign managers, this chap Axelrod, smart guy, he's warning. So Biden's going out there making these absurd speeches about insurrection. What is insurrection? Trump wasn't charged with insurrection. He certainly wasn't convicted of insurrection. Biden keeps doing this. It's a red herring, Stu. In Wall Street terms, it's a red herring to distract from the affordability crisis, the $3 trillion of regulations on small business. You heard Jamie Dimon say recession risk is still substantial. I happen to agree with that. The southern border is in catastrophe mode. Foreign policy has been slumping for Biden, who has very weak leadership. These are all the things that show up in polls, but Biden wants to ignore them because he has such a negative track record. He's afraid to talk about his presidency.
Well, Larry, which GOP candidate is the one who would overturn the D.C. elite and replace the deep state bureaucracy? Which GOP candidate will do what I think you want him to do?
Look, that is exactly the key point. Somebody has to blow up the swamp. And I still believe that President Trump, former President Trump, is the best person to blow up the swamp. Look, he has a very good track record in his first term. He has a lot of experience. But here's the point. Trump knows even more now where the bodies are buried and how to go after the bureaucracy. One of the plans being formulated is to go after all these tenured civil servants who are not nonpartisan. Most of them, the majority of them, are left-wingers, and they subvert conservative policies. I think nobody would go after them as strongly and wisely as Donald Trump will. He's absolutely devoted his political life to it. I can say that. Look, I'm not against Nikki Haley. I'm not against Ron DeSantis. They're good Republicans, they're conservatives, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think they would go in there and rip apart the bureaucracy and the civil service. And you've got all the, intelligence agencies and FBI problems and two-tier justice system. I don't think anybody would go after that as well as Donald Trump.
Larry, you just put the fear of the good Lord into the minds of just about every federal bureaucrat. I think you're enjoying it too.
Good.
Yeah, I know.
That's a good. If that's true, if there's any truth to that, Stu, my friend, if there's any truth to that, then I'm going to count this as a good day's work.
Take the credit, Larry. Take the credit, lad. Larry Kudlow, you can watch him at 4 o'clock Eastern every weekday here on Fox Business. Larry, thanks very much indeed. See you again real soon.